representing both the League of Women Voters of Texas and the League of Women Voters Austin area. We appreciate the opportunity to appear before you today. Across the national, state, and local levels, the League of Women Voters has a long history of advocating for fair, transparent, and accountable redistricting practices. In line with our stated position on redistricting, we feel very strongly that there needs to be improvements made in the current effort being put forth by the House Redistricting Committee. It's not enough for the committee to go through the procedural motions of holding these public input hearings. We want public input to be taken seriously and to be reflected in the maps. While the Supreme Court said that partisan gerrymandering is okay and permissible, that does not mean the legislator has a green light to exclude public input in the maps, especially from communities of color. In 2011, Texas drew election maps that intentionally discriminated against people of color. The Federal District Court for the Western District of Texas recently considered putting the state back under preclearance under the bail-in provision of Section 3 of the Voting Rights Act. U.S. District Judge Javier Rodriguez wrote that for that panel that he had grave concerns about Texas's past conduct. During the 2011 legislative session, Texas engaged in traditional means of vote dilution, such as cracking and packing in dwelling districts, and also utilized newer methods of dilution and suppression, such as using the nudge factor and passing voter ID requirements. During the hearing, he stated, given the record produced in 2011, the state must implement a process that, by any reasonable definition, is fair and open. To accomplish this, we ask that the committee implement guidelines to create a fair and open process. We want you to show us maps before they pass out of committee and allow ample time for us to review the maps. We also ask that you provide adequate notice for those hearings. We want you to give ample time for all legislators and the general public to introduce alternative map suggestions. We want you to start the process by ensuring districts comply with the Voting Rights Act and give groups representing communities of color a voice in the process. We also ask that you exclude partisan data when you draw VRA-compliant districts. One of the reasons the Austin Independent Redistricting Commission was considered a success is because they drew their VRA-compliant districts first and then expanded from there across the city. Those VRA-compliant districts are still holding today, and they are allowing communities of color on the east side to elect candidates of their choice. We ask that incumbents not be allowed to draw their own election maps. We deserve a process that is free of conflicts of interest. And then in light of the Hoffler dossier, we stress that all documents, written communications, emails, text messages, and drafts of maps should not be destroyed. There are ethical standards that elected officials should follow on any committee on which they serve. The public has a right to full transparency on how and why proposed maps were created. We also would like to see a report on how the maps were drawn and why there was any deviation from traditional redistricting principles, including county and precinct splits and population deviations.
You've reached 3 minutes. Could I ask you to try to wrap it up, please?
I will just skip to the end. I just want to note that I have included a map of the Austin Independent Redistricting Commission districts. Those districts were based on that open and fair process, and we would like for you to look at those maps and consider respecting those communities in those districts and the State House districts as well. And that will be it. Thank you.